The next session, ladies and gentlemen, is will be a very motivating and inspiring talk. I should confess I have not heard him, but people who have heard him, they actually vouch that he is extremely motivating and inspiring leader. And this talk is on revolution through leadership. We don't have to go very far in history. We have examples in front of us what a silent leader can do and what a very vocal leader can do, moving from that negativity, a negative environment to a positive environment. So I would like to invite and introduce our eminent speaker, Dr. Bharat Pandya. Dr. Bharat Pandya, ladies and gentlemen, he has been practicing as a general and laparoscopic surgeon since last 28 years. He is a founder member of Association of Minimal Access Surgeons of India. So laparoscopy, sir, you do without any dissections. You must have analyzed it without any dissections, moving to the complete perfection, precision. Ladies and gentlemen, he has been conferred the highest award of Rotary Service Above Self Award, Service Above Self Award in 2012. In 2013, he was conferred the BMB Outstanding Performance Award for his medical excellence and service to the local community, one of the only 12 doctors so as to be honored by the association.
Good evening. Great. You know, ma'am, when a couple of months back, my friend Vinod Thakur called me to address the annual conference of NAR-INDIA. He asked me to speak on the topic of leadership. And I told him that I would like to speak on the topic evolution through leadership. Now ma'am has just thrown it only to me that I am going to speak on the topic revolution through leadership. You know, I am reminded of many years back when I was president of our Rotary Club. I was sitting in my consulting room and I had a telephone call. At the other end was the lady president of an all-ladies Lions Club which we had in our area, named Lions Club of Diamond Way. And she invited me to give a talk on the topic of breastfeeding. Now I was surprised why I, a surgeon, am being called to give this talk, when my wife, who is a gynecologist, is better qualified to give this talk. But I thought that since I was the president of the local Rotary Club and they knew me, they had called me. So with the help of my wife, I prepared myself on the topic and went on that day carrying that dummy baby. And with all demonstration, I gave a talk on breastfeeding. And you know, at the end of it, there was a tremendous applause and a standing ovation. Now, I was a little surprised. My talk was okay, but not that good. But who doesn't love a standing ovation? Everybody loves standing ovation. As I walked back on the podium and sat down next to that lady president, she leaned over to me and said, "Doctor, do you know the reason for this tremendous applause and standing ovation? That is because the ladies are very pleased that you chose to speak on the topic of breastfeeding when the topic actually given to you was press freedom." Now, ma'am, whether we talk on revolution through leadership or evolution through leadership, I know Vinod is looking a little tense. Don't worry, Vinod, I am going to talk only on leadership only. The president of NAR, members of the organizing committee and all the friends of NAR-INDIA. It's a great pleasure to be here once more amongst all friends, and you know, I can now call so many of them as friends, having addressed this NAR meeting for the third time now in the last maybe 7 or 8 years. And before I say anything further, let me compliment the host association and the organizing committee for really doing. I have been here since mid-morning and interacting with so many of the people, and really it has been outstanding conference. Do you all agree with that, friends? Let's give a round of applause. Over the centuries, modern man as we know him, and when I am talking of man, I mean woman also. Modern man as we know him has evolved from the apes. In fact, if you go to see throughout history, any progress which has been made in history has only been possible through a process of evolution. Charles Darwin, the father of theory of evolution, always used to say, it is not the strongest or the most intelligent of a species who survive, but they only survive who are most responsive to change. There is tremendous change around us today, friends. Needs are changing, technology is changing, viewpoints are changing, attitudes are changing, friends. Gone are the days when the real estate agent, as my friend Vinod said, was viewed with a lot of skepticism, if not some suspicion. Today, not only the term real estate agent has changed to realtor, but you will agree when I say that today the realtor is a vital link, an important part of the whole real estate sector. And therefore, whether you are a realtor with a 2-member team or a 20-member team or a 100-member team, it is very, very important for each and every one of you, each and every one of us to evolve our leadership, friends. To see this as a leadership challenge, a leadership opportunity to develop and evolve our leadership so that we are able to lead our team, our customers, and most importantly, we are able to lead ourselves. If you see in a broad sense, as they evolve, leaders always bring about revolutions. What is a revolution? It's just an activity which brings a fundamental change in anything. Remember, a big fire always starts with one small spark. Great achievements are never made by giant leaps, they are made by small single steps. One person can make that difference. One person can become the leader. That one person is you, and you sitting on the back bench also. In the Arthashastra, Chanakya refers to a leader as Vijikishu, meaning one who wants to conquer and become victorious, overcoming challenges. The concept of a leader, the concept of leadership has gone tremendous change. In the olden days, leader meant either a king or head of nation, head of army or head of a big enterprise. Today we have leaders in every field. Profession, business, sports, politics, arts, science, culture, and also in the real estate sector. Each one of you, friends, has inside yourself the potential to be a good leader. All you need to do is to unlock it and unleash it. There is a popular belief about leadership that leaders are born, not made. The important thing to remember is that leadership skills can be learned and acquired. It is a collection of skills which you can learn and improve upon. But remember, becoming a leader is like investing in the stock market. If your aim is to make fortune in one day, you will never be successful, friends. Abraham Lincoln failed numerous times in business and politics before he went on to become one of the greatest leaders that the world has known. And therefore, if you feel that you are not born, you do not possess today all the qualities to become a good leader or a great leader, don't worry. Nobody ever was born with these qualities. Successful leaders are learners. In boxing, there is a saying, champions do not become champions in the ring, they are just recognized there, friends. If you want to become a champion, you have to prepare well and you have to work hard. You have to learn leadership skills, you have to imbibe leadership skills, you have to absorb leadership skills, and then and only then you can evolve as a leader, friends. And what are these skills I am talking about, friends? The first and most important skill that a leader should have is to have a vision. He should be able to visualize what he wants to achieve, friends. He should be able, he or she, when I say he, I always also mean she, friends, should be able to see the big picture. John Adams, 6th President of US, always used to say, if your vision and actions are able to inspire others to dream more, learn more, become more, then you are a true leader, friends. And therefore, whether you have a 2-member team, as I said, or a 100-member team, you have to develop a vision. Formulate some goals to achieve that vision, write them down, critically important to write them down, and then communicate with your team. Imagine if you are driving a car and you don't know your destination, you don't know where you want to go. How will you get there? How will you know what speed do you want to drive at? How will you ever know whether you have reached your destination, friends? I am reminded of this man in olden times who came across laborers working at a construction site. He asked the first laborer, what are you doing? He said, don't you see I am breaking stones? He asked the second laborer, what are you doing? He said, I am doing my job. I am a stonemason. He asked the third laborer, what are you doing? That man said, I am part of the team that is helping to build this magnificent palace. That man had a vision, friends. That man had a good vision which was communicated to him. What is your vision? How do you see your job? How do your team members see your job? Do you see your job, do your team members see your job just as a tedious chore to be finished? Or do you see your job as a very important job? You are in the field of doing a very great service to people, providing one of the most basic necessities that people want, and that is providing a roof over their heads. How well you visualize your job, how well you are able to communicate to your team what you want, friends. That determines your success. Ask yourself 3 questions. What do I believe in? What do I want to achieve? How do I get there? Write them down. Communicate to your team, friends. I have always believed, and Vinod knows that one of my introductions always reads that if my mind can believe it, if my mind can conceive it, and my heart can believe it, I can achieve it. Vision and goals are critically important, friends. Second, remember the 2 C's. What are these 2 C's? Confidence and competence. Confidence only comes from self-belief. I have to believe in my own abilities. I have to believe that what I am doing is good, what I am doing is right, friends. Gandhiji always used to say, men often become what they believe themselves to be. If I believe I cannot do anything, I will not be able to do it. But if I believe I can, then I will acquire the ability to do it, even if I did not have the ability in the first place. Self-belief has tremendous power, friends. Self-belief only occurs when you focus on your strengths, when you focus on your positive strengths. Have you heard the name of Karol Takas? 1938, Karol Takas was a sergeant in the Hungarian army. And he had one very important qualification. He was an expert pistol shooter. By 1938, he had won most of the national and international competitions in pistol shooting. And he was the favorite to win the gold medal in pistol shooting in 1940 Tokyo Olympic Games. Unfortunately, one day, a hand grenade exploded in his right arm, and he lost his whole right arm. Dream shattered. That was his shooting arm. Olympic gold? Impossible. But not for Karol Takas. He had tremendous self-belief, he had belief in his own mind, he had belief in his own capacities. He thought to himself, let me not concentrate on what I do not have. I don't have my right arm. Let me concentrate on what I have. What I have is my left hand. The moment he left the hospital, he started practicing it with his left hand. 1 year after leaving the hospital, he came to the Hungarian National Championship. And everybody applauded. What a great spirit. He has come here to cheer us and watch us shoot. He said, you are mistaken. I have not come to watch you, I have come to compete with you. Not only competed, but he won the national championship of the Hungarian gold medals. Unfortunately, his Olympic dream could not be realized because next two Olympic Games, 40 and 44, were cancelled because of the World War II. 1948, London Olympics, Karol Takas won the gold medal. 1952, Helsinki Olympics, guess who won the gold medal? Karol Takas. Friends, when things appear difficult, when you feel little defeated, when you feel crushed, that is the time that your confidence and self-belief helps you to overcome those hurdles and achieve whatever is possible. Let me share an experience of my friend with a realtor. A couple of years back, one of my friends wanted to sell his flat because he was moving to another city. So he got in touch with a realtor, and the realtor said, "Market बहुत खराब है यार, कितना everything negative, prices बहुत down है, मेरे पास इतने सारे फ्लैट पड़े हुए बिके नहीं है friends." And my friend thought to himself that if this man doesn't have confidence that he is able to sell my, how is he going to ever sell my flat? So he got in touch with another realtor. This man was like, not positives, good locality, good neighborhood, just the right size for a small family. And I tell you, within 2 weeks, that flat was sold. Self-belief and confidence can really make wonders. But don't forget the second C. Confidence can only take you so far. Confidence can only occur if you are competent in what you are doing, friends. You have to be competent in what you are doing, friends. You have to know your job. And I am not going to talk much about it because Vinod has already talked so much about the job profile, friends. You have to know your job, you have to know the market, you have to know your customers. And as you very rightly said, you have 3 customers: sellers, buyers and developers. You have to know your customers and you have to work to meet the needs of the customers. Anyway, I am reminded of this time when I was governor of Rotary. And our cook left our employment. So we were hiring a new cook. So after interviewing few ladies, my wife selected one lady and then she said, but it's not written down, so it just comes, so I get, the flow gets this thing. So my wife narrowed down to one lady, and then she came to me and she said, you also ask her some questions. I said, you are the boss in this, what am I going to ask her? She said, no, you have to ask her something. So I asked her that I am governor of Rotary and anytime we have unexpected guests, will you be able to cook for them? She said, yes sir, I can cook in both the ways. I said, what do you mean both the ways? She said, I can cook in such a way that they keep coming back to your house. And I also cook in such a way that they never come back to your house. For a realtor, one of the best publicity, sir, you will agree with me, is word of mouth publicity. And therefore, cook your projects, serve your customers in such a way that they keep coming back to you, friends. And that is the lesson that you have to take. So remember, confidence and competence. If I have to become good in something, if I have to excel in something, then I must get a PhD in that subject. If you want to evolve as a leader, you have to get a PhD in leadership. What is this PhD I am talking about? The P is passion and perseverance. Do you love your work? Do you enjoy what you are doing? And my friend Vinod said that every day he gets up and goes to work with a smile because he enjoys what he's doing. Do you bring your passion to your work? Martin Luther King always used to say that if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted, Beethoven composed music, and Shakespeare wrote poetry. What did he mean? He meant that if I, Bharat Pandya, have to be a street sweeper, I must do the job so well with so much passion and enthusiasm that people will say that there is Bharat Pandya, a great street sweeper who is doing his job well. When you are passionate and enthusiastic, you become focused, purposeful and determined, and your body, mind and spirit come together to help you achieve your goals. And remember, passion and enthusiasm are contagious. When your team members see that the boss, the leader is passionate and enthusiastic, they also become energized. Everybody seems to put a little extra effort to help you to succeed. Do you know the difference between water at 99 degrees and 100 degrees? 2 cups of water, one at 99, other at 100 degrees, put hand in either of them, hand will get burnt. But there is one crucial difference. At 100 degrees, water is converted into steam. And that steam is powerful enough to move a steam engine which can pull a whole truckload of people, a trainload of people. That passion and enthusiasm will give you that 1 degree more advantage, friends. And that is what you have to bring into your job to really help yourself to succeed, friends. There is an old saying in boxing. It is not the size of the man in the fight that makes a champion. It is the size of the fight in the man that really makes a champion, friends. Increase the size of your fight, and you will become champions, friends. But passion is good, but so many times you can't be successful 100% of the times. Maybe 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 10, or you won't get a good sale. What happens then? That is when the second P comes into effect, friends, perseverance. Winston Churchill, when he was asked to speak to school children and was asked to give some message, he said just 7 words. In life, never, 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 never quit. That was his message, friends. Edmund Hillary, you all know, May 1953, climbed Mount Everest. But you know that 2 years before that, in May 1951, he was part of an expedition which was miserably failure. Not only that, but 2 members of the team died. A couple of months after that failed expedition, Hillary was speaking at British Mountaineering Association in London. Something like this, behind was a big backdrop. Picture of Mount Everest. Huge. Awe-inspiring, forbidding. When his turn came to speak up, Hillary went up to the podium, then looked back and said, Mount Everest, you have defeated me. But I will come back. Because you cannot grow any bigger, but I can. That is the That is the perseverance which is necessary to turn failures a stepping stone to success. As Confucius always used to say, that the greatest glory in life does not lie in never falling. Everybody falls down sometime or the other, but the greatest glory is in rising every time you fall. Passion and perseverance are critically important. Confidence is good, vision is good, competence is good, passion is good, perseverance, but are you hungry for the success? You really need to be driven and hungry to achieve what you want to achieve. I want to open offices in all the major metro cities of the country. I want to go beyond the metro cities. You really got to be hungry for success. And of course, you have to remember the second H. Hunger has to be associated with hard work. Hungry and hard work. I am reminded of Socrates. One of his pupils once came to Socrates and said, "Sir, I have been with you for a long time. I have not yet attained wisdom. When will I attain wisdom?" "Come with me," Socrates said. He took the young man to the river when they were knee deep into the water. He caught the young man by the neck and pushed his head under the water. The man started gasping for air. After some time, Socrates released him. When he had got his breath back, Socrates asked him, "What is it that you wanted most when your head was under water?" And the man declared that when my head was under water, the thing I wanted most was air. Socrates said that when your hunger for wisdom equals to your hunger for air at that time, that is the time that you will get difference. That hunger is really necessary to drive you, to drive your ambition to achieve the success which you want to. Of course, hard work is critically important. Remember, the harder you work, the luckier you will get. People will say, "Oh, what a lucky man he is here." But they don't know what hard work is going behind it. Because the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. The D is discipline. You have to have a disciplined approach to whatever you are doing. You have to be disciplined to look into the small matters yourself. You have to be disciplined to not do the wrong things. You have to have discipline to do the right things. You have to be disciplined to do things again and again and again and again. It is discipline that really keeps you on the path of success. A gold medal winning Olympic gymnast, Pandya, I'm sure some of you must have heard her name, was asked the secret of her success. She won some 7 or 8 gold medals then. She said, "The secret of my success is practice. I practice when I feel like it. I also practice when I don't feel like it." That is the discipline which is necessary to really achieve success, which is very important. So remember the PhD, friends. There is an old saying about leadership. To show the way by going first. That captures the essence of leadership. Alexander the Great became king at 19 years when his father was killed. And in the next 10 years, he had conquered a major portion of the world by that time. And yet, even at the height of his power, this one of the greatest military rulers the world has known, at the beginning of every battle, he would draw his sword and lead his troops forward into combat. Why? Because he believed in leading by example. He believed that he could not ask his soldiers to risk their lives unless he was willing to risk his life. People, when you are in a leadership position, people follow your every move. If you want your people to be on time, you have got to be on time. If you want your people to have 20-minute lunches, you have to have 20-minute lunches. If you want them to cut costs, you have to cut costs. If you want them to have good relations with everybody, you have to have good relations with everybody and good relations with them also, friends. I'm reminded of this story about this lady who once came to Gandhiji with a 15-year-old son walking 30 kilometers, came to Gandhiji and folded hands and said, "Bapu, this boy is suffering from kidney problems and doctors are telling him not to take salt in the diet, but he never listens to anybody. He is very fond of namkeen, he keeps on eating salt. But he adores you, he respects you a lot. If you convince him, he will definitely stop taking salt." Gandhiji thought for some time and said, "Come after 15 days. The lady was disappointed, but Bapu had said, so she went. Again 15 days, 30 kilometers, young son, same request. Gandhiji called the young boy, patted him on the back and very lovingly explained to him, "Son, you have a kidney problem. Don't eat so much namkeen. Namkeen is not good for you. Please give up salt from today." And the boy immediately said, "Yes, Bapu, from today I will stop eating salt." And the woman was happy, but she was angry also. And she told Gandhiji that if that is the only thing that you wanted to tell him, why did you wait for 15 days? Call me again. 30 kilometers going, 30 kilometers coming, walking. No rickshaws, no cycles, nothing. And that is because Gandhiji said that when you came 15 days later, I too was taking salt in my diet. With what credibility, with what authority can I tell this young man not to take salt when I am taking salt? But in the last 15 days, I have stopped taking salt in my diet. And therefore, today I can say with credibility and authority to this young man. Remember, friends, when faced with a difficult situation, the best place to begin is with yourself. So lead by example. we are running and racing against time and we have just a couple of more minutes, friends. I really wanted to share a couple of more things with you, but let me quickly share 2 or 3 things with you, friends. It's important, as one grows in age, I am sure you will agree with me, that we realize that nothing can ever be achieved by one person, friends. Everything, in every field, is the effort of a teamwork, friends. And therefore, you have to take care of your team, friends. Remember, I am reminded of this football coach who once came to a school to teach the children football. And he came empty-handed. So one child was bold enough to ask him, sir, you have come to teach us football, but how come you have no football? You have not got any football. And the coach asked, how many players in the football field? 22. How many footballs? 1. At any given moment of time, only 1 player has the ball. Today I am going to teach you what the other 21 players do. That is what, friends, important. As the boss, you are the one with the ball. All the focus, all the attention is on you. Remember, the role of the other 21 players is critically important, is as important as your role, friends. Treat them with humility. Jim Collins, in his beautiful book, Good to Great, describes 5 levels of leader, and he says the most important quality of a level 5 leader, which is the best leader, is humility. Humility, courtesy and kindness. Treat your employees, treat your colleagues, treat your subordinates with humility, courtesy and kindness. There is an old saying in our ancient text, the tree which bears the most fruits is the one whose branches are bent to the ground. If you treat them with humility and kindness, humility does not mean weakness. It means that you care for them, friends. People do not want to know how much you know or whom you know. What they want to know is how much you care for them. I always say that today, in this electronic day also, you cannot email a hug or fax a handshake. Treat people with humility, courtesy, kindness and a smile, friends. And I am sure your team will do anything that you want them to do, friends. A very, very important point to evolve as a leader is to follow ethics and integrity in the profession. We know as interconnected friends, and all of you will sure, I am sure, agree with me when I say that of course the scenario is changing, but still there are a lot of issues as far as ethics and integrity is concerned, friends. It is critically important, friends, that we must focus on ethics and integrity. And remember, ethics and integrity does not apply to other people only, it has to begin with ourselves. And so many times we feel whether becoming ethical, whether showing character and a good value system, does it pay? Sometimes in the short term it doesn't pay, friends. But I assure you that in the long term it will always pay, friends. And I am reminded of Mark Spitz, 1968 Mexico Olympics. Mark Spitz was the favorite to win the 100 meters freestyle, friends. The Olympic pool is a 50 meters. One end to other end is 50 meters. To win the 100 meters, you have to jump in on one side, go to the opposite side, touch the opposite wall, and come back to the starting point. One who comes first is the winner. When the race was over, Mark Spitz was the first one to touch the starting point, and his name flashed as the winner. When Mark Spitz got out of the water, went to the judges and said that while turning, he had missed touching that opposite wall, and therefore he thought that he was disqualified. I am talking of 68. No fancy equipments, no underwater cameras. If he had not said, nobody would have known anything about it, friends. And therefore his name was removed, and the second person was declared as the winner, friends. There was stunned silence because he was the favorite to win the gold medal, friends. But when the reason was announced, he got a standing ovation. Not only that, the Olympics committee gave him a special medal for keeping the spirit of the Olympic alive, friends. Remember, friends, life is a race. Life is a race, and all of us have to play to win, but win fairly, squarely, decently, and by the rules, friends. And in case you wonder whether it pays in the long run, 1972 Munich Olympics, Mark Spitz came back and won not 1, 2, 3, he won 7 gold medals, which remained as a world record for 36 long years till Michael Phelps broke his record in 2008, friends. You all know that old saying, if wealth is lost, nothing is lost. If health is lost, something is lost. But if character is lost, friends, everything is lost. So remember, vision with goals, confidence and competence. Get a PhD, passion, perseverance, hunger, hard work, discipline. Lead your team by example with humility, courtesy and kindness. And don't forget that practice ethics and integrity in all the ways, which brings me to the last quality which lifts a good leader to become a great leader, friends. And that is become a servant leader, friends. become a servant leader, friends. Look around yourself, friends. The WHO and United Nations define that anybody who lives on less than $2 per day is considered as below the poverty line. There are 330 million people in our country living on less than $2, but I am sure you will agree that there are many people who are living much less than that. $2 comes to 160 rupees. There are people living on 20 and 30 or maybe even less than this. There are lakhs of people who cannot read or write, who are starving, go to bed hungry at night, who do not have access to water. We have so much, friends. We have a responsibility to reach out with a helping hand, friends. And remember this posture proverb, friends. I wept because I had no shoes, till I came across a man who had no feet. Rather than concentrating on our problems, let us thank God for the abundance that He has given in our life. And therefore, let me share one last anecdote about Gandhiji. You know, before he came to India, Gandhiji was in South Africa. One day, he with a friend was waiting on the platform. And in those days, the trains used to stop on the platform only if white people wanted to get on or get off. If black or colored people wanted to get on or get off, it just slowed down and they were supposed to jump off and jump down. So there were only two people, Gandhiji and his colored friends. So the train just slowed down and they jumped off onto the train. As he jumped, one of his shoes slipped and fell onto the platform. As the train was gathering speed, Gandhiji bent down, took off his other new shoe and threw it so that it landed next to that shoe. And the friend looked at him. Has he gone mad? Why did you throw away your other new shoe? And Gandhiji said, at least now, the person who will find that will have one new good pair of shoes to wear. I'm telling you that in his place, any of us would have cursed the system, cursed our luck, cursed the engine driver, cursed the train, cursed everything. I have wept till we have reached our destination, friends. I am sure that that was one of the defining moments in Gandhiji's life which transformed Gandhi into Mahatma Gandhi. Today, we are all taught and forced to be go-getters. It is important to be a go-getter, but it is also important to be a go-giver, because a go-getter attitude only will definitely ensure that you are successful, but a go-giver attitude will ensure that you have joy, satisfaction and happiness inside, friends. And therefore, we, all of us who have so much friends, need to reach out with a helping hand. अगर मैं मुश्किल में हूँ और प्रार्थना का समय है तो मुझे जरूर से प्रार्थना करनी चाहिए, लेकिन अगर मैं प्रार्थना कर रहा हूँ और कोई और मुश्किल में है तो मुझे अपनी प्रार्थना छोड़कर उसकी मदद करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि दूसरों की मदद करना सबसे अच्छी बात है। So let me leave you with this final message, friends. Please become a servant leader. Think of those who are not so fortunate as each and every one of us, friends. Reach out with a helping hand, friends. And let me end with the words of George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw says that life is not a brief candle. It's like a blazing torch which I have to hold up for the moment. I want to hold up and make it burn as brightly as possible before I pass it on to the future generations. The torch of leadership of NAR, of your sector, of your community is in your hands. And it is your turn to write the first few chapters in the history of NAR. Hold the torch a little bit higher. Let those first few chapters be little glorious, good chapters. Make the torch burn a little more brightly. I wish each and every one of you all the very best as you evolve through leadership to make a difference in the life of your team, your family, your community, your customers, most importantly, in your own life. Thank you very much.